Hey guys, welcome back to another edition of the Detour Live. I'm your host Dan Jones, joined as always, four-time National Road Champion John Trevorrow, voice of cycling's back again, Phil Liggett, and head DS of BikeExchange Jayco, Matt White. We've got a lot to unpack as a lot has happened over the weekend. But before we do, I want to say a big thank you to everyone that donated to the Amy Gillett Foundation Giving Day, where we were live last week. Their target was 280,000 iffy, and they raised 314,538.
Wow.
That's a live total at the moment. The Detour crew raised a bit over $2,000, so it all went to a good cause, as we know. And it's been another big day as well for you, John, because you had the funeral of Dean Woods today, and by all accounts, it was a pretty big show.
Look, it was always going to be a big show, I guess, because he was an amazing young man. But tragically, for those who don't know, he passed away just last week with cancer, only 55 years of age. And so he was living up in the Gold Coast, but Wangaratta was his town. He was the boy from Wangaratta. Gold medalist has just turned 18-year-old back in the 84 pursuit. And yeah, but it was at my age, you go to a lot of funerals. But this was just a little bit different. It was in the Performing Arts Centre in Wangaratta, and a lot of the town came out because he was very, very loved, and it was something special. So one of his close mates from Queensland did an amazing, very close with him, did an amazing eulogy, but. No, he didn't do it. He spoke about his relationship with Dean and how special he was. But Dean did his own eulogy. And
there's a photo that was posted today because it was live streamed.
That was live. Well, he did it just last week, knowing what was happening. It was amazing. He spoke very much about cycling. He spoke about some of the things that have gotten under his skin, I suppose, over the time, about his journey, about growing up as a little kid in Wangaratta. It was just amazing. And he pointed to the book, because he's written a book. It was supposed to be coming out in the last few weeks, but it's coming out very, very soon. And I'll tell you what, you're going to have to read the book, because he pointed to some of the things that are going to come out. A few people are going to get a few more whacks, because Dean Jones was never backward coming forward. He always spoke his mind, and it was wonderful. And it was just towards the end, he said, "Look, I know it must seem strange where I'm talking to you, and then but you're all looking at me at that box in front of you." He said, "But while I'm in there, but he had this letter." He said that I've got. That Megan, his lovely wife, had written to him, and he pulled out a torch. He said, "This might be a bit dark in here, so I can read it." It was just a bit of humour at the end. It was pretty special, and a lot of champions from his era and before and after all come to pay their respects. So it was one of those days. They're always a terrible thing to have to go to a funeral, and I used to hate them in my younger days, but I've come to appreciate it's a celebration of someone's life, and this is a life that was worth celebrating. Someone really special, and he told some amazing stories, and it's just, it was just wonderful to be there. One of his good mates, Wayne McCarney, and another good mate in David Jew, who's got a little cabin just down from mine here at Nagambie. So we all caught up and had a bit of a catch up last night, and we drove up there today together with Dad Brian, who is a character. And Brian, it's just worth telling this quick story, because Brian Jew was a really good bike rider back in late 50s, early 60s, and his best mates with Ron Bainch. They went over to Europe as youngsters in early 60s. Had no money. They're racing in Grand Prix, and Ron Bainch ended up being one of our greatest ever sprinters. I think he ran second twice or three times in the world pro sprint title. So he was a top class Olympian and all of that. But Dewey was a really good bike rider. Anyway, it was just a story. They had no money. They were in Milan. They had to get up to Stuttgart for the next race. They didn't have enough money to get there. They had enough money for one of them to catch the train. So they tossed to that. And Dewey won the toss, so he got on the train, but they didn't have enough to get all the baggage on, so they had to cheat. They had to hold his foot under the scale so it didn't get too heavy, so they could afford to get their bikes up there. And then Bainchy hitchhiked from Milan to Stuttgart. That's how tough it was, So
sounds like one of your Tour de France trips.
But it was different era. It was wonderful to catch up with those guys. As a matter of fact, as soon as we finish this podcast, I'll be walking down a couple of quiet ones with them.
Well, you said Dean gave a few people in the sport a clip. Did you avoid a clip, John?
Yes, luckily I did. Yeah. But it was Stewie O'Grady was there, and Stewie had raced World Championships and Olympics with him as well at the end of the career, and they had the four. So when they won the Teams Pursuit in LA, they had the three other teammates there up on the stage, and Mike Turner spoke, and he spoke. He struggled with a little bit of it because it was so emotional, but it was beautiful. And Glenn Clark, who's a Wangaratta boy as well, who was the reserve, but he raced at that Olympics. That was just wonderful to see those guys, because it was special. You got to remember back then that gold medal was the first gold medal Australia had since the '56 Olympics, and that was the tandem, which is probably not recognised as one of the big events. But so it had been a long while. Munich Games that I went to, the boys got 3 silver medals, but we didn't get that gold. So this was the first gold medal in a long time, and it was special. Dean being this. He only turned 18, the week before. So it was amazing. And he told a little bit about that journey of getting there. What a challenge. He was still a junior. He won the World Junior Pursuit title not that long before. And then straight after that Olympics, he went back and defended his World Junior Pursuit title. Wonderful stories. And it was just great to catch up with all these absolute legends. Phil Anderson was there, and Clyde Sefton, my mate got silver medal, Donnie Allen. So, the 3 guys from the Munich Olympics who rode the road race. It was just, amazing time. Amazing day.
We said at the top of the show, it's been a big week in cycling, and it's been a big couple of days for you guys, Whitey, with Yatesy saluting on the 8th stage at Paris-Nice. If he's penciled him in for the win at the Giro this year, and geez, it was an impressive ride, mate.
Yeah, it certainly was. Well, we were looking to win the stage on general classification was going to be, well, we thought was going to be out of reach, because Jumbo certainly hadn't put a foot wrong for the 7 days prior, and Simon threw it out there on the last proper climb of the day. And then we saw some cracks in the armour of Primož Roglič, and was saved by Wout van Aert. So it was a big ride. We got out there to nearly 30 seconds, which we only needed 37 seconds plus the bonuses to take the lead. And then over the top of the last climb, there was a lot of downhill and fast sections to the finish, and Simon did a very good job to hold off 2 guys considerably bigger and stronger all the way to the line, and what was a very classy win.
There's been a bit of chatter about, without someone like Wout van Aert, they were questioning, would Roglic win the overall? And then, we're obviously miles out from the Tour de France. But what are your thoughts on that, given that, as you said, is there a chink?
Oh, look, everyone has a chink. Well, actually, I haven't seen one in Pogačar yet, but the last stage of Paris-Nice always brings up some surprises. Now we're in the same situation in 2018 with Simon. Simon had the lead going into the last day. It's a horrible day to defend, because it's basically 120 kilometers of climbing, up, down, left, right. We had wet conditions today. Wet conditions when Simon lost, and Marc Soler went out of the bunch, 30k to go in 2018. Went from 7th or 8th place at 40 seconds. And took the lead off Simon Yates on the last climb of the day. So it's a hard one to defend, and it's a nice place to come from behind. And I think the 2 Slovenians are definitely a cut above everyone else at the moment when it comes to the Tour de France. But there's a lot of races between now and then, and you've got to take your opportunities when they arise.
What do you reckon, Phil?
Well, I reckon it was a great race, as was Tirreno as well. But the interesting thing was, Matt, as you know, that the 2 brothers, the twins, were in competition, which is a rare occurrence if it wasn't the first time, certainly the first time this year. And they managed to both make top 4 finishes and never attack each other, which I thought was pretty good. They just rode their own race, to try and win it, and they got second and fourth. So I can tell they're still the best of friends, even though they're now riding on rival teams. In some ways, I'm very pleased for Roglic because he's a real fighter, and he's had terrible bad luck in the Pyrenees, and now finally he's become the winner of it. But there's no doubt that without Van Aert, he would not have won the race, and Yates, he would have won it. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind on that one. But he is a fighter, Roglic, and I think that Roglic is the sort of character you love to watch because he suffers like hell to maintain his positions. But boy, did he owe one there to Wout after that fantastic last day.
Iffy?
Yeah, no, full agreement with all of that. I mean, there's no doubt that that Simon cracked him, and if it was just one-on-one, he would have taken the time out. But Wout van Aert, and evidently Wout van Aert the day before, which I just thought he had a bit of a bad day, he actually eased up and saved himself for this day, knowing that this was the real challenge. He wasn't going to be needed the day before with the big climb at the end. He knew this was the day. So he took an easy day, come in fresh. And did you hear that, Whitey? That's what made the difference.
No, we noticed that there was 2 times in the race where they sat him up. He was actually in general classification 3 days out, and they sat him up 3 days out, and they sat him up on the last day. And when we went past him on the bottom of the last climb on the Saturday, we went, "Yep, he'll be there tomorrow," because he wasn't stressed at all. He wasn't stressed at all. But no, very good calculated move by those guys. You can do it when you've got a team like they have. That Rowan Dennis did an incredible ride on the bottom slopes of the day before, and but no, it was a great teammate to have. But they rode an impeccable race, Jumbo Visma, and they deserved the win. But we came out of it with some really positive signs in our build towards May, especially the time trial result by Simon. If you look at now 5th place in the time trial behind the 4 who beat him there, the Olympic champion, European champion, Wout van Aert, and Rowan Dennis, who's a 2-time world champion. So to be only seconds behind those guys in a 15-kilometre time trial was a big ride and a big boost for Simon's confidence and the material we're riding. And then to finish off the week with a win was a nice way.
Now, one other thing I saw
Go on, sorry, mate.
One other thing I saw to come out, there was only 59 finishes at Paris-Nice. I was talking to Andy Gerrans last night, and he said the Israel team, they only had 1 finisher from 7. And most of the team was struck down with flu. It really is a different era given, COVID, and if there are any sort of flu-like symptoms, it's like, bang, pretty much got to leave the race, yeah?
Well, we only started with 3 riders on the last day. So it did run rampant, and it's not COVID. Obviously, all the teams are super cautious. Anyone has any flu-like symptoms, they're testing them straight away. But we were talking about our medical staff as well, and there's been for 2 years, everyone's been wearing masks, using hand sanitizers, been super, super protective of this bubble you get to when you're at a race. And things are opening up very, very quickly here in Europe. I think as of the day after Paris-Nice, all restrictions in France are finished. Already the week before in Belgium and Holland, restrictions are finished. And I think in United Kingdom, they didn't have any anyway. But so people are being exposed more now to this normal flu. People forget the normal flu is still out there. And little viruses like that, once they get into the bubble now, it did run rampant because actually the weather was pretty good in Paris. We only had rain on the last day. It was fresh. It was cold. That's racing in spring. But no, to have 55 riders finish the race, and I think only 80 started the last day. And I know Tirreno also was struck down quite hard as well. But I think it's just spring and the fact that we've been so cautious over the last 2 years with avoiding COVID. But yeah, there's other viruses out there that do make people sick.
Yeah. What were you going to say, Sean?
And also don't forget that Europe is becoming extremely preoccupied by the possibility of a world war with the battle between Russia and Ukraine. It's on the doorsteps now as a group. And COVID is taking a back step as people start only talking in Europe about the battle between Russia and Ukraine. It's a very, very serious situation.
Mm.
It's scary,
Yeah.
actually. Yeah.
It's very scary.
And you look
I'm
at
frightened to
you
death,
you
to
were
be honest.
talking last week, Phil, about petrol prices. They've almost hit $2.50 here in Australia. So
Wow.
you know,
Well, we're
I
just
think-
short now of the $4. We're just 10 pence short, 20 cents short of the $4.
$4 or £4?
Pound a litre.
No, $4 for a litre.
Okay.
We're at
Okay.
£1.90 a litre today.
Okay.
But the price is falling for oil. It's pulled back from nearly $200 a barrel to just over 100. But it's funny how they go up very quickly, but the oil companies never put it down very quickly. So it's always
But you even think
Strange,
the flow and
that,
effect,
strange.
the cost for cycling teams. I mean, you think of how much fuel you guys chew through in
huge,
a team, Whitey.
huge.
These
Yeah.
blowouts would have massive financial implications.
Yeah, I saw €2.20 a litre yesterday on the roads here in Italy. So that's what's that? $3.50. $3.50
Yeah,
Australian a
that'd be
litre.
right.
So you put in 15. Those trucks basically were running on €1 a kilometre. So that's doubled now, nearly.
It's a huge problem because I organised, the Tour of Britain milk race for 22 years. And when I did a budget every October for the following year's event, it was the two biggest expenditures was the petrol for the vehicles and the cost of the hotels for the teams. And we were talking what at the time was huge figures, like £70,000. But now, can you imagine the current organisers of the Tour of Britain, when they look at the costing of the use of vehicles during the tour in the end of this year? We are talking many, many thousands of pounds, added to the fact the police service are now charging like £500,000 to escort a race. It's serious worries. Serious worries.
Hey, we're going to have a quick drinks break, and when we come back, we're going to have a quick chat about Milan San Remo. So stay tuned.
Look at this bike. You think it's just a bike, right? But it's not. It's a bike. 374 people are looking at. This guy, this girl, them, all looking at it. People from here, there, and wherever this is. People that are looking for a bike. Or just a piece of it. Amateurs, semi-amateurs, and pro-amateurs. This guy wants this bike, but with this crank and these bars. This could be the perfect match. But not this one. This girl has a bike to sell, and thousands of people might purchase it. Eyes on Bikes help grow small businesses. His, hers, yours, and the latest data and insights help those businesses keep moving. We are the world's #1 bike marketplace, with over 500,000 products and 900 brands, where buyers and sellers are brought together in a place where a bike is never just a bike. BikeExchange, where the world buys, sells, learns, and rides.
Are you dreaming of the ultimate cycling holiday? Mumu Cycling is the best in the business. Official tour operators for all Grand Tours and monuments, you will ride the best climbs, enjoy VIP access and race viewing, all hosted by some of the world's best pros, including 17-time Tour de France rider and Paris-Roubaix champion Stuart O'Grady. Start planning your ultimate holiday at www.mumucycling.com.
Thanks again, Bike
Yes,
Exchange and Mumu Cycling.
I was just talking to Marcel, and he's very excited. The Giro's getting closer and closer. Still a few spots on the Giro, but it's looking great. It's going to be a wonderful event. Mumu they're the pros. I think there's a couple of spots left on the Tour de France as well. So, and they're heading off very soon for the classics. So Stewie will be over there, and I think Stewie's doing the last week of the Giro and all of the Tour de France. So, yeah. Sign on, jump on the Mumu website and get in there, fellas.
Yep. Definitely. Now, Milan San Remo, it's obviously always an exciting build-up, Whitey. Fantastic memories, of course, from 2012 when Gero saluted that year. And, geez, I'll never forget the elation in the bus and in the team car that day. And then, of course, the after party down at Monaco. That was a classic when I went in with my Atari shirt and we were drinking, what's that really fancy champagne? Is it Cristal? Yeah, it all tasted the same to me, but geez, it was a bloody sensational evening. But obviously, the build-up this year, mate. There's a handful of contenders. Looking into your crystal ball, what are you expecting out of the first monument for the year?
What I'm expecting Team UAE to light it up on the Cipressa this year. I think Pogacar wants to win Milan San Remo, and he doesn't want to mess around with the sprinters. So I would predict the most aggressive final of San Remo in the last 20 years.
So knowing that, I mean, how do you cover any of those sort of moves when they sort of light the engines up?
Well, for us, it's fine, actually, because our leader is Michael Matthews. He would prefer to go in there with a more selective group to drop some of the pure sprinters. And he's got a really very high level climbing ability for someone as fast as him. So the tactic will work perfect for us. Not to sprint against Caleb Ewan or some of those pure sprinters would be a dream for us. But I expect if Pogacar personally doesn't do it on the Cipressa, I expect his team to soften the sprinters up, because I think the Poggio alone you are rolling the dice whether you're going to stay away if you just wait till the Poggio alone. Because you saw last year Caleb Ewan climb third or fourth wheel the whole way up the Poggio, and yet there is time to get a little bit of an organised chase from there to the finish. But if you really soften the sprinters up on the Cipressa, or even force a split and make them chase all the way to the Poggio, that's a real chance for a breakaway or a very select group to go to the line.
Now, one big factor I remember, I think it was 2013 when it snowed and had to sort of pull the pin halfway through, is, of course, the weather. What's the early predictions for the weather on the weekend?
Looks good. I'm in Italy now, just reconning some Giro stages, but I had a look yesterday, and the long-range weather forecast looked okay. What about you, Phil? Makes a big difference, 300 kilometres in dry weather or 300k in 5 or 6 degrees in rain, that's for sure.
That's it. What do you reckon, Phil? You've seen a few editions of the old Milan San Remo.
Yes, but I've never been there. Can you believe that? I'm very, very poor on the Italian racing. And I love Italy, which is rather an irony, but just never. My jobs always came voicing over in New York or somewhere in the UK. So I never actually went to the Milan San Remo. Also, I have to tell you, I never went to the Giro d'Italia, John, in my life. A bit like Sean Kelly, really, who never got to ride it either. But talking to Sean Kelly, now when Sean won Milan San Remo, he had to chase down and catch Moreno Argentin after they came off the Poggio. Now Kelly at the time had won Paris-Nice 7 years in a row by sheer breathtaking descents. And this is what he did coming off the Poggio. And when he got across to Argentin, he caught him just on a kilometre to go to the finish. Argentin asked him to give him the race. And Kelly says, we'll see now. We'll see, won't we? And of course, Kelly won the race because Kelly never gave anybody anything, unless you talk to Eddie Merckx, because Eddie always says he sold his stages of the Tour de France, because Kelly only won 5. But I think he finished second 15 times. But, he's a very suspicious man.
That's a good amount of bank then. Jeez, 15 lots of 50 grand. You do the maths.
Yeah, what do you reckon? It's a fabulous race, and I can't wait to watch it. It is the longest race on the calendar. And it's guaranteed to be exciting. You'll get the suicide runners halfway through making a name for themselves. It'll always come back to a battle of the Poggio.
Now, Iffy, knowing you with your blinkers, it's Michael Matthews all the way.
No, I really do believe that Caleb can do it. It's become a bit of an obsession with him. He's ran second twice, and probably should have won at least one of them. Iffy, but and last year he was pretty special up there. He showed good form the other day. He'll need to be at the form he showed last year to get over the Suppressor and the Poggio. And I agree with you, Whitey. The fact that that the Pog is even riding and not the Pog, but sorry, that's him.
No, but Johnny, both Slovenians are riding, but Roglic and Pogačar in Milan San Remo. So never been seen before.
Yeah, so that means the race will light up, but and there's no doubt he's going to have to do a ride of his life. But I still believe he can do it. But I think Michael Matthews in a big chance, and if it does get just that bit too hard for Caleb, then Michael is the one who can just hang in there. Interesting, isn't it? I mean, the race has changed, but Eddie Merckx won it, a whole stack of times, and was able to ride away in those last few climbs. But the racing has just changed. I mean, there are so many good bike riders now. The standard of the top 50 has gone up a long, long way since Eddie Merckx's day.
I'll tell you what, John. Merckx won it 7 times, but his biggest winning margin was 30 seconds. Even the great Eddie couldn't get rid of anybody. And you know the last time there was anything but a bunch sprint in Milan San Remo? Well, I'll tell you, go back years and years, because it's always been a bunch sprint for the last 10, 15 years, maybe even longer.
No, not really. No. Try and tell Caleb that. He won't agree with you.
Well, he came in the same time. Yeah,
but there was a break. There was one guy away, and Caleb won the sprint. He's done that twice now.
I reckon the last time we had a breakaway, breakaway in the final that stayed away was probably when Bettini won. I think it was a group of 3. Bettini, Celestino, and another guy, early 2000s, and that was. I don't think we've seen a breakaway go from the Cipressa since.
Nibley?
Yeah, but they were caught on the line.
He went over the top of the Poggio.
Yeah.
You're right. Wasn't he caught on the line? That was 2003.
2003. I don't know when the bunch was.
They were right. They were given the same time, the whole field. So
really, as well. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
They were away, but they were caught on the line.
You said that
with Caleb as well.
You said that Roglic is riding. Do you think it's an opportunity for him to do some work for Wout van Aert, given that he won it in 2020? So 100%. That could be the square up.
Wout van Aert's the same as Michael Matthews. He doesn't want to sprint against Caleb Ewan either, and he will be able to go with anyone who goes on the Poggio or the Cipressa. So I wouldn't be surprised. Roglic will be there in a pure working role, 100%, Jonesy.
All right, and then you've got a couple other big names I'll rattle off. Obviously, Alaphilippe. If they're going to light it up, he'll be
look super in Tirreno.
All right, I'm just going through some of the betting sites. Sonny Calabrelli, how do you rate his chances? Just get my notepad out. Negative. All right. Pidcock.
Got sick in Paris-Nice, went home after 2 days.
Right. Put a pen through him. Pidcock.
Good wild card. Good. He's gonna.
Good roughie.
Yeah, good long bet.
Yeah. And Mads Pedersen. Obviously,
I don't know if he's riding, but if he is riding, if it comes back to a sprint, watch out. I've never seen him so skinny in my life, and he is sprinting very fast and will pass the times the best he's ever passed. Looks really good.
And Jasper Philipsen.
It wasn't super impressive in Paris-Nice, and he hasn't got a big history with the race. I don't know how he goes over 300, but he's certainly sprinting fast.
And don't rule out a late attack from Mahoric. He'll be up there.
He got sick as well. Stopped one of the races. I'm not sure his condition either, mate.
This is an old article. I'll try to sound smart.
What about Michael Matthews, man?
Yeah, look, he's podiumed there a couple of times, and said if it's a reduced group sprint, that's what we want. We don't want to sprint against Caleb Ewan either. They're too fast. But after 300k, reduced group sprint, anything's possible.
Yeah, well, we've got some live comments. Gavin B says, Yatesy certainly went down swinging. It was great to see the fight he had, and I hope it means the fire is in the belly for the Giro. Now, you said you're over there doing a bit of recon for the Giro. White, is any particular stages that are sort of popping out?
The one I saw yesterday, actually, and it's one of those stages where probably not too many teams will come and look at it because it took me a long time to get here. It's a medium mountain stage with 4,500 meters of climbing in it. So That's for a good comparison. So the stage I saw yesterday is not a hilltop finish, so it won't be a selective day for the GC guys, but it has more meters of climbing in it than any stage of the Tour de France, and it's on stage 6. Wow. So basically you start on the left-hand side of Italy, very, very, very far south down in Calabria, 30-40K up the coast, and then you go through the middle of Italy, and it's very, very tough stage indeed. And I'm really glad I saw it yesterday. Long day in the car, about 10 hours of driving from door to door, but it was worth the effort. And I've going to check out another couple of stages today, and I'll end up in Milan on Friday for Milan San Remo.
Well, it raises a good point. I was just going to say, how often do you read the race book and then you see it live and you go, "Hang on, this is way different"?
Well, for the Giro, we will check out 75% of the stages. We'll do all the stages except the sprint stages between the 3 directors. So we've got a pretty good idea of how they look.
Well, that's pretty much my question there, Dan. Matt, did the organisation give you a detailed route this early so you can go and do this recce?
Yeah. We've got a GPX file, which is as accurate as they've got at the moment. Knowing Italians, things could change at the last minute. But we have got the official routes, but that subject to some last minute changes. But no, we have otherwise you're wasting your time unless you've got the actual official route, which what we have done in the past. We've checked out some stages before, and they weren't the official GPX files. We got there and they'd slightly changed, but no, all good. We put a lot of effort into looking at the stages in the months prior, and we can't do it any earlier because of snow. But now things are opening up and we can have a look at most of the mountains, except the Dolomites are closed at the moment. We'll leave some of those Dolomite stages till the weekend before or just before. But some of those stages we know pretty well anyway, pretty traditional. But there's some of these random stages in the south of Italy or in the middle of Italy that we don't have races on. They're the ones I especially like checking out.
Now, given Yatesy may take the jersey at some point throughout the race, and John will be at the Giro, do you need help with security getting him to the sign-on and making sure that he's on time and helping out with the logistics, given the stellar job he did in 2014 with Michael Matthews and all the other guys?
Bottle points are more important, I reckon, there, Dan.
Yeah. I'll never forget that spray you got from, I think, was it you and Nygaard got the spray from the boss that day for Michael Matthews? I think he would run late twice, and that was John's job, and he had a whistle, and he said, "No, I got this covered. I got a whistle. He'll be on time." And he was late again.
When he missed lining up on the front row in the Giro d'Italia as the leader. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. And I just remember sitting from a distance, and it was like a school principal just drilling these 2 kids. And you just had to stand there and cop it. And then, I think if he was off whistle duty.
It'll never happen again. It'll happen again the next day.
That's right. That's right. So what are you going to do, John? You bottle ban? Whatever role?
No, I'm team mascot back there. Just team mascot. That's
whatever it takes, John will do. Whatever it takes.
That's it.
I'll be on bottle duty as well. Yeah, Bazzy and I plan to be there every day. Looking forward to it. So just jump. You jumped ahead a bit too quick before Dan, which you do at times, because we never really spoke much about the Torino a day ago, because that was a pretty impressive win for the Pog. They've been talking about recently, comparing him with Eddie Merckx, and it's now starting to resonate a little bit because it was amazing. But my mate Vinegar, he was back right up there.
Oh, don't you start that again, mate. We've had enough hate from your comments.
Really strong. But the one who was probably a little bit disappointing was Evenepoel. So I was going to ask you, Whitey, because it looked like he was going to try and really take the race up to Pogacar, but he was found wanting.
Yeah, look, he's a very talented young athlete, but he's not bulletproof. He's human. He's 21 years or 22 years of age. He has bad days, but the amount of hype around him in Belgium. It's a tough one, but he seems to like the hype. But there has not, and there will never be another Eddie Merckx. So any comparison to to anyone. You can't compare generations either. But this poor kid Evan Poole, he's the next chosen one in Belgium, and it's there's a lot of heavy weight on his shoulders. That's for sure.
Mm.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to talk about Torino, Johnny?
No. I thought it was a great race, but
we should mention Richie Porte.
Richie, of course.
Because he slipped into the 4th place finish, and terrific ride by Richie there. Yeah.
Mm. No, he was team. Very, very strong. And we've got some Aussies going well. I mean, Richie Porte was very, very good in that, and he's showing some sensational form. It's his last year, but I don't think he started the year as well for a couple of years. So he looked really strong, and Rowan Dennis as well was really strong for this time of the year. So
I think also Caden Groves had some really good sprints there as well. 2 third place in World Tour events. He's been knocking on the door, and he's had 5 podiums this year. So really consistent start to the year for Caden as well.
Yeah, actually, his last one, I thought he was a bit like he just got stuck a bit far back. It was a ridiculous finale, but he was flying. I mean, another 10 meters, he wins that for sure.
Yeah, he's got a big day tomorrow. Milan Turin, he'll lead the team tomorrow in that one. So he'll go head to head with Cav tomorrow. Be a good one. Good one to watch.
Yep. Cav seemed a bit quiet, didn't he? I must confess.
He did. Very quiet in Tirana. But I heard his conditions building quite good. So it'll be interesting to see how he sprints tomorrow. But guys, I've got to love you and leave you. I've got to head off. I've got a coach's meeting.
Worries, mate.
I can't believe you're busy, Matt. That's ridiculous. Walking out on detour is an absolute disgrace, frankly.
Thanks, Whitey. Appreciate it, mate.
All the best. Good luck, mate.
Good, mate.
Bye.
Take it easy. See ya. Matt White, he gives us a lot of time on this program. We definitely appreciate it. Now, anything else we've missed in the run sheet, Iffy? You want to add?
The women's had the circuit, the Drenth, or whatever it was called, like just last week, which was their World Tour race. And Lorena Weebs she is going quick. No one's getting near her. And she won from Melissa Balsamo, the world champion, who got a fantastic lead out from the Aussie Chloe Hosking. But even with that, it wasn't enough. Matter of fact, I think Weebs won by that much. They gave her a second gap at the finish line, and Lottie Capecci was third, and Sarah Roy was up there. I think she finished 10th. So that was a very quick race.
Was it? Is this the finishing shot there? That's
yes, it is. Yeah.
Oh, she didn't win by the length of the straight. But it was a good win.
She won, they put 1 second gap.
Did they give a time gap for that? Did they? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
All I can see is me. So I don't know what happened to that.
Technical glitch. And Sarah Gigante is back racing with Movistar. I see Iffy. She's back at a race today tomorrow. So.
Yeah. Oh, it's
great tomorrow, I believe. Yeah. And incidentally, as we're talking of icons of Australia, what about Mike Tomalaris? Have you heard about his award?
No.
Well, the French have knighted him.
Really?
Honestly, I have a letter on my desk this morning from the French embassy.
That's fantastic.
For his services for publicising the Tour de France in Australia on television and all the good things he's done. He is a Knight of the Order of Merit of France. And I've seen the letter signed by.
Straight away.
I thought Mike sent it to me on a direct message on Twitter, and honestly, I thought it was a joke. But in fairness, I've read the letter, and it's absolutely bona fide. So congratulations to Mike.
Have you been knighted, Phil?
And I've been honoured, but I haven't been knighted. No, so you've got to do a lot to get it.
When are you going to? That's a good question. When are you going to be Sir Phil Liggett? When are you going to be Sir Phil Liggett?
I think that's gone. That's gone. Yeah. But in fairness,
you upset the royal family somehow.
I am very proud of my doctorate of the South Australia University of South Australia because I'm Dr. Phil. You see, I'm happy with that.
That's ridiculous. You can't be the voice of a global sport and be from the UK and
Well,
not have a Sir attached to
the
your
Queen
name.
gave me a
I think
medal,
that-
and she was wonderful, and I was so proud to receive the medal from a member of the Order of the British Empire for service to cycling. And she said to me, because we were brief before we met her, she will ask you a question. Don't give your life story in reply, was what we were told. And so when she came, when I went up to her, she shook my hand and said, "This cycling is getting very popular, isn't it?" I said, "Yes, ma'am, it is. Get off next." Yeah, but
I thought you were going to say it
but when
reminded
I
me
got
of the
behind
time
the
when I was at
curtain-
the milk race.
No, when I got behind the curtain, the boys who put your medal in a box, the NBE, and they said, "How did you get this job? Everybody in the palace watches you on television." I said, "What? You all watch cycling? We love the Tour de France on TV. We love your commentary." I just didn't ever imagine that the royal family would be watching the Tour de France on television. I was
awesome.
quite astounded. Yeah, MBE, of course, stands for Mountain Biking Expert, which I'm not.
Now, I think you need to be touched on the shoulders with the sword, mate. I think they need to dial it up, and
Yeah, I think
lead a hashtag push.
it might slip and cut my throat. You never know.
What's coming up for you, Phil? What are you? What are you commentating on next?
I'm doing a lot of work, but I'm not actually doing any commentating. But I will. I'm looking forward to Paris-Roubaix, and then it'll be the Tour de France. In between, we're off to Careca It's nearly there. 5 weeks today. We will be on the farm in Careca, and we've got a full house too. So we're looking forward to doing some work with the rhinos and raising some money there. Well, we've already paid the money. They've got the money. We just got to get the job done now. And I'm looking forward to doing the Tour de France back on site. So I'll be in Denmark, a country I've never been to. I can't believe it, but there we are.
Oh, well, we'll catch you there. Dan and I will both be there.
You will. Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Looking
we
forward
look
to it. We'll do the detour from site. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, I've already spoken to Nicky Strobel, the former chef at Green Edge, and he's hooking me up the European SIM card, unlimited data. So my data's sweet. So I'll have a crisp picture, and then we'll let Nicky work his
I'll
way
be
out.
on the wheel.
Oh, yeah.
Talking about on the wheel, I see that the BikeExchange Jayco, Green Edge, have just released the first part of a little documentary, a 3-part documentary on their quest for the Giro, and the first one's called the boy from Bury, and it's some wonderful stuff of
Berry,
of Simon,
John. We call it Berry. They call it Bury.
Berry.
Well, the locals call it Bury, but it's Berry, B-U-R-Y. Yeah. It's a nice town. It's a nice town.
Yeah, and it's just north of Manchester, and it's a really nice story and about his quest for the Giro, because it really has. It's an event that he's got so close to. He can smell that final pink jersey.
Well,
just hasn't got there yet. So.
And the parents are classics too. I remember they came to a few races back in the day, and like particularly the old man, she's a real straight shooter. So you can see where the Yates boys get it from. So
they will be if they come from Lancashire. They tell you how it is from Lancashire. I'll tell you.
That's it.
There's a wonderful photo of the two boys when they're probably 6 or 7, I reckon, and they're being cuddled by David Beckham. And it's a great photo. Great photo.
Yeah. I used to love playing FIFA on the PlayStation with those two. They'd obviously flog me, but they love their football. And I remember when Mourinho, the chosen one, was walking around the Tour de France, I think it was 2014, when it was in the UK. I pushed through and gave him like a blow-up guitar because I knew of him. I didn't really care. And he got this guitar and he was like stunned and walked off, and there was like 50 media taking photos. And the Yates boys were like, I can't believe you gave the chosen one a blow-up Green Edge guitar. It's like, who cares? I said, no, you don't understand. That guy's crazy. Like, he'd rip you a new one. I was like, well, he didn't. He just walked off with it. So, anyway. But no, definitely check that out. It's a good watch. All right. Well, thanks again for joining us, Phil. Thanks to Matt White. Thanks, Iffy. Make sure you subscribe on youtube.com/The Detour Podcast. And as we said at the top of the show, thanks to everyone that donated to the Amy Gillett Foundation Giving Day. If you still want to donate, go to their website. I think they're leaving it open. They're going to try and get to 320,000, but we'll be checking in with them. And, we'll be checking in with you again soon, Phil. And
let me just leave you on a funny tale before we go down.
Yeah,
about
mate.
the Yates, which they're twins, of course, Simon and Adam. And once on television some years ago, they were born. They were actually born 8 minutes apart, Simon and Adam. If you didn't know that, but on television, I inadvertently said 8 weeks apart. Apparently, and it didn't take long before the letter came in from Mrs. Yates to say that was one hell of a pregnancy labour, I'll tell you. What's he talking about? 8 minutes, 8 seconds it was, not 8 weeks. So I'll put the record straight at last.
Good stuff, mate.
Yeah.
And if he...
I just want to just a shout out to all the Dean Woods family, his wife, his girls, his brother and 2 sisters, and Dad, who caught up with today. He's forgiven me for saying he was 90 when he's only 84, but So my thoughts are with them on a special day when we've said goodbye to one of Australia's cycling legends in Dean Woods.
Yep.
Yeah,
well
couldn't
said.
agree more, John. They gave a very nice report of that. Well done, mate.
Yep.
I knew Jim very well. He's a good man.
All right, guys, we'll be back again on Thursday at 6:30 p.m. straight Eastern Standard Time. We'll see you then.
Good stuff.